And obviously one of the most appealing aspects of this film is that we get Lance Guest playing Michael, who is our beloved Jimmy from Halloween 2, and quite possibly one of the most attractive men to ever grace this planet. What? What? Other women don't find him as attractive as I do. I don't believe you. Mm-mm. Nope. Hey guys, back today for another In Defense of review. And in the spirit of this weekend and the Meg hitting theaters and beaches near you, I thought this movie would be appropriate to review in this series because it is so hated in the horror community, but it is still one of my favorite Jaws movies, period. Granted, I love all of them, but I love them all for different reasons. Now, I think to start off, I think anyone that goes into Jaws the Revenge expecting a serious movie is just jinxing themselves from the get-go. If you go into the fourth installment in a series of any series expecting something really serious or like blockbuster, Oscar-winning type material, you're setting yourself up to fail. So that's your problem and not the problem of the movie. So yeah, we get Lance Guest, we get Lorraine Gary coming back, and we get Michael Caine. Fun fact, if you say my cocaine, you're also saying Michael Caine, as if you are Michael Caine. Michael Caine. I don't know why I find that so entertaining, but I do. Okay, so first things first, the tagline for this movie kind of tells you what you're in for. This time it's personal. Well, one thing, okay, personal, it's a shark. I get it. The revenge aspect is kind of out there, but we'll get into that a little bit more later because they're kind of all out there. But it's also a little bit of a nod to Back to the Future 2, where I think it's the 8th Jaws is displayed in the background with like the moving display, and it says this time it's really personal. So I mean, that right there is just a fun little nod before you even get into the film that just don't take this seriously. It's a fucking movie about a killer shark that apparently just has one issue with like this one family. Just this one. And I think I have to get into one of the biggest parts of the movie that I love personally, and that's Judith Barcy, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her name, but she was the voice of Ducky from The Land Before Time. She's the voice of Anne Marie from All Dogs Go to Heaven. So my childhood was already filled with just her voice. So in this movie, seeing her, and like when I watched it, I was really young as well, so like there was like that rapport sort of thing going on. I don't know what to do with my hands. And unfortunately, this was the last movie that she made, last like acting film, not voice work, that she made before passing away in 1988. She was actually shot by her father alongside her mother, who was also killed, and then he turned the gun on himself and shot himself. So she was only 10 years old, and like just another one of those young actresses from like our childhoods that had so much of a like bright future ahead of them, and just senseless death. And it's so sad, but it's like a memorial kind of film for her, like memorializing her, immortalizing her, and I loved seeing her in this movie. I absolutely adored her, so that's one huge reason why I can't hate this movie. I just love her too much. And Lance. His super long, like, gangly legs and little V torso, and oh, so hot. One scene that I absolutely love in this movie is the opening scene with Sean Brody. It was something that you're not truly normally expecting. Originally, they had planned on Roy coming back and reprising his role as Chief Brody and him dying. That's the only way that he said that he would come back and do a fourth film, is if he got to die immediately at the beginning. Now, something like that probably would have angered crowds quite a bit more because he is such a beloved character in the community and like the world over. Jaws isn't even seen by everyone as a horror film, just a film that everybody loves and appreciates. And I think typically, I mean, even though they are adults, they've grown up, you would expect it to be the older brother that would die, not the baby brother, not the little one that's always being protected. But it's kind of like, in hindsight, if Michael were there where he was in the other films to kind of save him and protect him, that he's not there. So he wasn't there to protect him this time. And it was kind of gut-wrenching, and it kind of messes with you a little because all of the other films are based in like summer. This one is based around Christmas time, which is like happy-go-lucky, joyful time of year, and the carolers are singing in the background, and that scene to me is like kind of chilling, but I absolutely love it even though it's sad. And if you watch the scene after Sean's funeral where everyone is at Ellen's house, and if you pay attention closely in the background, you can see Lee Fierro, I believe is her name, who played Mrs. Kittner from the first film, who her son was the one on the little raft that got killed by the shark when everybody was fucking there and watching. That was kind of impressive for me. There's a couple of other people that you spot in the background there as well, but she's the one that always really stood out to me, and she was easily recognizable as Mrs. Kittner. And I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Is it Kittner or Kintner? Whichever. You know exactly which mom I'm talking about. And for me, personally, the scene that I, one, love and kind of hate because it has traumatized me for my entire life, like through adolescence into adulthood. I'm almost 34 years old, and I still to this day have yet to go on one of those banana boats that are like pulled behind another boat, because of the scene during like the ceremony where she's there, the daughter's there with like Margaret's mother and Margaret on the banana boat, and Margaret's mother's there at the end, and the shark comes up and like nabs her by the leg, and it goes in slow-mo. Her mom's on like the beach just losing her freaking mind, which is actually like, it kind of gets you in the feels. When you watch it before, you're like, oh, like overacting much, but it's so accurate. And my battery died, so now I'm just hoping that everything's still in focus and kind of positioned where it was before. If it's not, that's why. You know, where the fuck was I? Ah yes, the banana boat. I live on freshwater lakes. I shouldn't be terrified of a great white shark coming to get me, but I am. It's that there's no explanation for it. That scene has just traumatized me. Okay, so let's get into some of the ridiculous aspects of the film, because I do recognize that there are some ridiculous moments, but like I said, you're going into this movie, you have to recognize that it's not meant to be taken all that seriously. Michael Caine himself has never watched this movie. He kind of thought of it just like as like a paycheck film. He missed the Oscars, where he won, by the way, because he was still filming this. But I mean, he even says like it was meant in good fun. It like helped him like build a house. He like won an Oscar while he was filming it. He got a vacation. Like, who cares? It's a film. It's not meant to be another Oscar-worthy film. It's just meant to be a killer shark movie. Okay, the shark roar. I get it. It's weird. But let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a shark, a great white shark, being triggered by like ultrasonic pulses? Because it could roar. We don't know this. I haven't personally tried it, so it could happen. It's not likely, but it could happen. I don't know what else would happen. Like, just keeps on swimming, keeps on swimming. The fact that the shark followed them to the Bahamas. Okay, That's a long fucking trek. I get it. But at least we're avoiding some of the, like, Friday 8 sort of, like, geography mishaps or whichever that people seem to find issues with. It is kind of still a straight fucking shot there. And during those winter months, sharks do traditionally migrate south because the waters reach different temperatures, and for feeding and things along those lines, they do tend to. I can't even remember what they fucking call it, like, where they, like, follow the coastline down south, and that's where a lot of people get, like, shark attacks. Not a lot of people, because let's be honest, I think only, like, 5 or 6 people a year are involved in a shark attack, and, like, shark attack is used very loosely because they can brush their boat and they call it a shark attack. So it ending up in the Bahamas isn't that far-fetched. I understand people saying, well, it has, like, a personal vendetta against, like, the Brody family, like, that's ludicrous. Even in the first film, when they are pictured on the boat, the orca, like, there's no land in sight around them whatsoever. This shark, who has been chilling out near the beach for, like, the first half of the movie, is now back out in the ocean. And if it was back out there, why would they be worried that it's going to come back into shore? Why? Because it's unlikely that the shark would follow them out to the ocean? Possibly? Unlikely? Maybe? Are you following me? The second movie. What are the chances of the same family being involved in a, like, killer, like, meticulous, premeditative shark killer attacking them again? Also kind of far-fetched. And might I remind everybody that this movie is called Jaws the Revenge, not Jaws 4, because this one is considered canon with the first 2 original films. It is actually bypassing part 3, as if part 3 never happened. Which is also another one of my favorites, so if you want to see it in defense of on that one, I totally can. And the kill list isn't extensive in this movie. I know when you go to see a killer shark movie, you want to see a whole bunch of deaths and blood and body parts and yada yada yada. And you really only get, like, Margaret's mother and Sean. In one version of this film, however, Jake also dies. And I haven't seen that version. And I don't want to see that version because Jake is another one of my favorite parts of this movie. I thought that he was fantastic and I loved his accent. And he was so funny and weird and Does this film have its issues? Fuck yeah! It's got a lot of issues. It's a killer shark movie and it's the fourth installment in a killer shark franchise. Like, really, I'm still like, I sit here and I wonder what everybody else was expecting from this movie. What kind of plot line did you think they were going to follow with this? It boggles my mind and I can't quite understand it. We get a shark. Okay, it's like a giant rubber shark, but even Bruce had his issues. We get the Brody family again. We get Michael in all of his curly haired, bearded gloriousness. We get Lorraine Gary back, which this was her first film in like 8 years, I believe, and it was her last film. So appreciate it because we don't have a whole lot else to appreciate there. We've got the warm beaches. Like, I won't lie to you. Every single year, my first day going to the beach, this is the film I watch, like, that morning before we head out. Every single year. It is that much fun for me and it gives me that like summery, like beachy vibe, even though it's set during Christmas time. And let's just call a spade here. No other film ever, let alone in a Jaws franchise, is ever going to recapture what the first one did. Holding it up against that film on its like high horse on top of its fucking pedestal is asinine. You just can't do that. You can't put a film up against those kind of expectations expecting it to succeed. It's just not going to happen. That was lightning in a bottle. like magic, never gonna happen again kind of film. So this one, for what it is a good time. I enjoy it. It's fun. And let's not forget the scene with Michael and his daughter where they're mimicking the scene from the original Jaws with him at the dinner table, and when he moves his hand, she moves her hand, and I just, so many feels. I love that scene from the original, and I love that they brought it back in this one. Now, I'm not expecting to change absolutely anybody's mind on this film, but I want you to go into it the next time you watch it, if you ever do watch it, with an open mind. Just expect to enjoy it, laugh at it, have a good time, no expectations, and just enjoy it for what it is. A killer shark movie. It's unrealistic just on that premise alone. So there you have it, guys. That's about it for this defense of. I know there's not a whole lot of defense for it because it does have a lot of problems, but it's not going to change the fact that I love it, and it's probably not going to change the fact that you hate it. But that's how I feel, and I'm sharing it with all of you. Now I'm gonna go chill out in my backyard and actually get some sun, hopefully, because I haven't done that yet this summer, and it's like mid-fucking August, and possibly go see the Meg, so that everybody else can complain about another killer shark movie, because a giant megalodon apparently doesn't leave enough gore and carnage candy behind. But it's a fucking megalodon. It's not gonna like nibble on people and chomp off limbs. No, it's gonna eat you fucking whole. I don't know what people expect anymore. I just don't understand it. This is why I couldn't be a filmmaker, because people's expectations are just way too high. I hope you guys enjoyed this In Defense Of review. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned and stay scared.